Hey guys, it's Tryptophan here, and this one we'll be doing Elementalist in a sandbox just to go over the basics of Elementalist. And I have Darkstar here, who
Hey,
will do most of the commentating because he has the most experience with this class.
uh, yeah, for this video, keep in mind that Elemental is a class that changes frequently. So in this video, we will mostly be going over the general talents, quests, and everything, and we won't be diving deep into any specific guides. We'll do a separate video for that, and in the future, if changes are being made, we'll go over them in a separate video. We're trying to keep this as general as possible, so it stays true for the longest amount of time.
Yep. So do you
Okay.
want to start from like lanes are spawning, you just hit level 2? Or and
Um.
go base stats?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe thing at the start. Obviously, Elementalist levels are a little different. You can see it here if I hover over it. The first level is just 10 XP. So basically, if you kill one zergling, you already get level 2. Fairly basic, but yeah. Um. Let's get that. Oops. Perfect. Okay. Yeah. Let's say you get the first level. You have a lot of different options on Elementalist. Maybe first let's go into the talent points. Usually, if you are sorry, not to the talent points, but the basic attributes. Usually, if you level up with any other heroes like Glivec, Nyara, or just any of your normal level heroes, you automatically also get attributes such as strength, intelligence, and agility. And on Elementals, it's a little different. So each time you level up, you get 3 points, and you can put them into whatever you want. So you can basically choose how many points you want to put into what. And the tooltips will tell you exactly what, how much you get from what point. Kudos to Vatline for that. He's been very detailed in this. But in general, if you have any very specific questions, usually about any stats, it's somewhere within the tooltips, and you can find them. So strength, as you can see here, increases weapon damage, HP, HP regeneration, and shields and shield regeneration. So if you want to be more tanky, or you want to have a higher base damage, this is your way to go. Then we have agility, which increases your attack speed. It also increases your movement speed, attack range, and vision. The thing is, separate to other talents and other attributes from other characters, the vision and the range that you get on Elementalist scales logarithmic. So if you want to just get a lot of attack speed and movement speed, you can put as many points into agility as you want. But for attack range and vision in general, the more points you put into it, the less value you get out of each subsequent point. So usually in guides, unless that is to change in the future, you usually want to limit the amount of points that you put into agility. Yeah, and then at the end there's intelligence. This will just increase your overall energy regeneration. It will increase the cooldown reduction you get from your abilities. We'll go over those in a minute. And the radar that you see around me. Obviously right now I have vision of the enemy. I think I can change that right here, exactly. The radar will show me exactly where enemy units are. And the more I level it up, I can give myself a few levels now here maybe. The further the radius of my radar will extend out. Yeah, as I said, if you have any further questions about the exact stats of those, it's on the tooltips. The next one, you just killed a zergling. What you really want to do is you want to immediately get one of your orbs. The orbs, you have 3 different ones. You have Ice Orb, Storm Orb, and Fire Orb. And to get them, you cast them once, which will cost you a little bit of energy, 10 to be exact. And then they will fly around you. And basically for every orb that is currently around you, it gives you a certain a certain attribute. Like for instance, if you have fire orbs around you, you can again go over the tooltip. That will generally increase your weapon damage. Storm Orb will increase your movement speed and your attack speed. And the Ice Orbs, at least currently, this again might change a little bit in the future, They basically give you shield regeneration, they give you cooldown reduction, and they give you a lot of armor and damage reduction. So, at the very start of the game, since you don't have a lot of base damage, it tends to be useful to put 1 point into Fire Orbs, get 3 Fire Orbs around you, because that way you can see right now, I have 53 damage, and since the Zergling at the start has 50 HP, I can just go over and one-shot them. Yeah, again, if you have 3 around you, and the one that you casted last is the one that stays longest. So right now, if I cast Ice Orb and then a Storm Orb, the Fire Orb is the one that is the next one to fall out of the rotation. So if I cast an Ice Orb now, I'll have 2 Ice Orbs around me and 1 Storm Orb. Another Ice Orb will not change anything, and I have 3 Ice Orbs, and whatever I cast will change this setup.
Yeah. Next, we can talk about how not only do the orbs give you stats, but they allow you to dictate which ability you can learn.
Exactly. Let's get into the spells. Spells you can have, different to other, let's say, Artanas, where you level up an ability and then you have it available at all times. With Elementalist, you can have 2 abilities ready at all times, but only 2. Maybe let me have 3 Fire Orbs right at the start. There's probably a spell you will have a lot. What you have to do is you have fire, or you have orbs around you, and then you press Recombine Spells. Recombine Spells, this will cost a little bit of gas and a little bit of energy. The energy part is a little bit important at the early game, not so much later when you have a lot of intelligence. Exactly, and then you get to cast a spell. That spell is not for free. It will cost you both energy and money. The money aspect we can get into a moment. The important thing is that all of the different spells you can get are all detailed if you hover over combined elements. So, if you have 3 Fire Orbs around you, that's 1 spell. 2 Fire Orbs and 1 Storm Orb, that's another spell. 2 Fire Orbs and 1 Ice Orb, that's another spell, and so on and so on. I don't know, should we maybe go over them in detail?
So another thing is that as you upgrade the orbs, Fireball is stronger, but it also
your spells get a lot stronger.
So
exactly.
There's a downside.
So
to that.
at the start, your spells don't cost a lot, but they're also not very strong. Right now, obviously, I'm going to kill Zerglings that don't have a lot of HP, but as soon as the Zerg starts getting upgrades, I'll not do it now. My spells usually won't be strong enough to actually kill enemies.
Yeah.
So that's why you keep putting points into the orbs to get stronger spells. There's also another way that we'll, again, get into a moment.
Do you want to go over each ability right now?
I think that would be useful.
Yeah.
If you have 3 Fire Orbs around you, that gives you a Fireball. It's just a ball that... Okay, you know what? Let me... Vision on. I have some units here at the side. I'll just take them. Also, you have 1 Global Blink. Sorry, maybe I should have mentioned that earlier. You can use it anywhere on the map. Like, I could use it here, for instance. Or here. Exactly, but only for the first 5 minutes. Again, might change in the future. At the very start of the game, you had it the entire game. That's probably not going to change anytime soon, though. It can definitely help you to get out of any, close situations in the early game, such as the Haka running after you. That's usually when you want to use the Global Blink. Okay, anyway. Abilities. Fireball is 1. I have a Fireball. You see this blue indication here. I use it somewhere. Takes me a moment, and I throw out a ball that has AoE damage. If they were close together, you would have seen it. Fire, and Ice gives you Meteor. Meteor is an ability that deals both damage, but also it's one of the abilities Elementalist has that empowers your friendly units. I can't show that here in Sandbox because all of these units are counted as my own and not my allies' units. But if I had allied buildings, for instance, Technician or whatever, I could use my Meteor on them, and they will get a slight buff. If I use it on enemy units, this is how it looks. Also, the size of the Meteor increases with its cost. So if someone has a lot of damage and a lot of multipliers and whatever into their Meteor, then the Meteor will become bigger and bigger. So if you're a Zerg, for instance, and you see a very big Meteor compared to this one come at you, then it's fairly expensive and you might want to watch out. You know what? Actually, let me demonstrate that real quick. Multipliers, I'll get into them in a moment.
We can talk about them later.
Okay, see, this is not too big, but if I have a lot of... You know what? Fuck it. I'll get some more points.
Now I have to make this rated R.
No, exactly. It's one of the abilities that Fatline got some complaints over. That's why he was so adamant about changing it. Yeah, this is a decently sized meteor. If you see that as a zerg, you want to really watch out that you're not on the path. And even if it doesn't hit you, it might hit units who will become very strong. So, again, watch out. Okay. Yeah, if you have Firestorm, that is an ability called Firestorm. It's an ability you cast close to you, and there's fire on the ground. But if you move away from it, it will also move away from you. Like basically, we'll draw a line right between, like in the middle, and it will mirror what you do. So actually, well, kind of anti-mirror, because if I go down, it goes up. If I go up, it goes down. Okay, that wasn't very long.
Mirror, yeah.
Kind of, yeah, but like in every direction. Okay. Those are the fire spells. The ice spells, if you have 3 ice orbs, that's an ability you're usually going to use a lot in the early game. You will get into an Iceball. You can control the Iceball by clicking. It's kind of, if some of you have played the game Iceball Escape. Yeah, basically you drift around, and the Iceball has a separate HP bar. Now, if the Iceball dies, you do not die. So you don't have to make sure that the Iceball doesn't die. You just usually want to make sure that no Zerg Hunter is in range, because you want to use that as an escape spell most of the time. 2 things to the Iceball. First of all, the HP increases as you have more Ice Orbs. Again, the details can change in the future, but that's where you want to stay. And 2 more things. You can actually preemptively leave the Iceball. If you see in the bottom middle of my screen, there's the Iceball and then Elementalist, just like in the medevac. And if I now... Okay, wait, maybe I go back first, so I'm not too far away. And if I now click onto the icon in the middle, I will actually leave the Iceball. I will no longer have control over the Iceball, really, but I can leave it preemptively whenever I want.
You almost
yeah. Okay, and then the last one is there's this ability, Slow Down. You can use that if Zerglings try to move, or the Zerg tries to move Zerglings in the way. Then you can use it to slow down your Iceball, so you have a little more control of it for a short amount of time. Boom! Now I hit him. Okay. Ice Storm, Freezing Zone. It's an ability that will freeze any units that are between the both of them. You will actually get control over 2 little balls, as you saw them. And they will automatically bind to your next 2 open hotkeys. So right now I have Elementalist on my 1 hotkey. If I use it on 2 and 3, I can now click on those to control them. If they get too far apart, then there will no longer be the zone between them. So, like right now. So you have to make sure that you keep them within a reasonable distance. This will deal both damage and also slow down enemies. You can add multipliers, and again, if you level up your orbs in a certain way, they can change the spell. For more details, just read the tooltips. Oh yeah, ice, and fire. There's an ability called Sleep. It's basically, it's Sleep like in most other games. You can cast it on an enemy, like in a big zone, and all of the units inside can't move unless they get damaged. And you can upgrade certain things to make the sleep last longer. And also, when they get damaged, they will go out of sleep. They will no longer be stunned, or like they can move now. But the hit that they take, that makes them go out of sleep, usually deals a little bit of extra damage. Yeah, can be useful. It's very situational though. to actually get to use it.
It's-
Let's say you're trying to hold a choke point, or you're trying to hold several choke points. Like say I was here as Elementalist, and there were units coming from here and here. If I didn't want to bother with one side, I could maybe sleep that, and then deal with the other side first, while the other units are blocking the ramp. That would be one way to use it. But again, it's an ability you're rarely going to use. Okay, and then the last few spells. Yeah, I'll get over this in a moment. Lightning Storm, 3 Storm Orbs. If enemy units come close, it will automatically, storm them. It will deal damage periodically, and if no unit is within the circle, this also works on buildings, by the way, so I could also use it on the creep tremors. But if no units are close by, then it stops, zapping. And each time, it deals damage, it drains some of your mana. So you want to make sure that it usually doesn't drain all of your mana, as, if that happens, the Zerg hero could just come and kill you right away. That's not really a situation you want to be in, because you'll be out of mana. By the way, and this prioritizes heroes. So if the Zerg has a big army, let's say Fagor's right here, has a lot of Zerglings around him, I could go towards him, use the ability, and out of other units, it would zap him. Okay, that's not smart.
It actually seems like it combines well with sleep. Because you could sleep all day.
It can, yeah. There was a combo I used to do where there was a thing. But again, a little situational.
Yeah.
It works mostly if the enemy hunter already has all of their supply used and out on the map, because then they can't spawn any new stuff. I think... Did I forget something?
For Lightning Storm or
Probably.
for spells?
Oh yeah, each subsequent hit on like a hero or whatever increases the damage. I don't know if it does forever. I would have to read the tooltips for that. But yeah, that's something you can do on your own. Something to keep in mind though. Okay, Storm Ice. This is an ability called Soul Catching Zone. This combines great with other spells such as Meteor. Let me just demonstrate it once. Basically, whenever units die within an area, within the zone, you will get control of them. So, let's say I use a Meteor here, and then I use Soul Catching Zone. You see, I didn't use it fast enough for some of them, but of the other links, I got control. And for a short amount of time, I can control them until the timer runs out, and then they just die. You don't have to kill them yourself. You can also, if there's a base hold or some survivors attacking the Zerg, you can just use it, and any Zerg units within it that die, you get control for. This also works with some, by the way. Maybe I can show that too. I'll get some multipliers just to make sure. Here. Then again, for a short amount of time, you get control. Those units are going to be weaker than your average Zerg unit, though, when you get control of them. You can increase their HP with certain multipliers, though. What they are, again, I'll get into in a moment. 2 more spells to get over. One is Storm, and Fire. This is just a teleport. Oops. I'll upgrade some of my Storm Orbs, because the more Storm Orbs you have for the teleport, the bigger is the range. You can use the teleport wherever you want. Like, you don't need to have sight of it. Like, right now I can use it on the high ground, for instance. And it won't teleport you immediately, but it will have a short delay. And after a short delay, I will appear, wherever I used my teleport. This is very useful when you run away from someone. This is great for just wanting to reposition yourself. And a little pro tip to add here, by the way, is you can combine this with Iceball. It will usually teleport you no matter what, but if you happen to be inside an Iceball while you teleport, then you don't actually teleport. I can demonstrate that here. I use the teleport here. Now I go into an Iceball, and I remain inside the Iceball. This is a very good way that you can trick advanced Zergs who know a little bit about Elementalist. Maybe they'll focus on your teleportation mark, give you some time to breathe, and then you can make your escape. Okay, and the last spell, last but not least, and certainly a very useful spell, is Mirage. If you have one of each, Fire, Storm, and Ice, this combines to the Mirage spell. If you cast it, again, you will see I have my Elementalist on 1. The next 2 open hotkeys automatically get binded to 2 more Elementalists. These Elementalists have more or less HP, depending on my Orbs. They will get more HP, or they will get different stats depending on, how many points I have into Fire Orbs, Storm Orbs, and Ice Orbs. And yeah, basically they create 2 illusions of myself, or of Elementalist, that you can control separately. They have 2 abilities. One, which we'll get over a little bit later for talents. And the other is Swap. So I can move my Mirage anywhere I want. And if I click that spell, I automatically, immediately teleport to that location. And I can actually reactivate it if my Mirage still happens to be alive. This has like a 3-second cooldown to swap the position again. This is a very useful spell to get away with. A way that would be done. You know what? Let me.
And it's annoying when harassing creep.
Yeah, that's insanely annoying. It used to be even more annoying. Got nerfed quite a bit. Still very useful though. Yeah, one scenario that could be happening here. All these lings running after me. Usually I probably wouldn't be using Mirage here, but I cast Mirage. They usually re-aggro, and then I can run away. And usually, or the best way to escape would be to, click your other hotkeys very fast and redirect all of your Mirages and your Elementals into separate locations, so you can swap wherever. And they're not all clumped up, because sometimes what happen is, a person uses Mirage and then only runs away with their Elementalist. And this is like, okay, if it's only the Zerg hero or something following you, but if there are a few links here killing your Mirages, then this is hardly a great escape. If you just moved one of them, it would make your life so much easier. So try to learn that. Maybe go into a sandbox yourself. Just test that out a few times, because it can really be great payoff. Okay. Maybe for the spells, before we go into anything else, there are multipliers, right? If you go to your upgrades, where you can upgrade both your attributes and your orbs, in the top right you will see spell upgrades. Those are your multipliers. What they will do is you have 3 different ones. One is effect multiplier, secondary effect multiplier, and the cooldown multiplier. The cooldown multiplier... Okay, I got distracted. The cooldown multiplier will basically reduce the cooldown out of all of your spells. And the interesting part is it won't do that, when you cast a spell, but it will automatically do that even while the spell's on cooldown. Like a way to demonstrate that, if I have no cooldown multipliers right now, I use Mirage. Now it has a big cooldown, right? And you can see the cooldown dropping fairly slowly. If now get a lot of cooldown multipliers, like 7 right now, you will see that the cooldown is reduced a lot more rapidly.
Yeah, and the price goes up a lot, right?
Yeah, the price for changing it, or first of all for doing the multipliers, each one of them, usually effect and secondary multiplier. Effect multiplier usually has something to do with damage or HP. Effect usually something with the duration, and cooldown is always just the cooldown. Again, these can change a little bit depending on the spell, but it's all written out in the tooltip. You can just hover over them, as I'm doing right here. To level them up, or like to get them, all you have to do is pay the 10 gas to upgrade, or to increase the multiplier by 1. And then you have to pay 10 again to decrease it. And for all of those, you can do that up to a maximum of 7 multipliers. And as you mentioned correctly, again, if you will pay attention, all of these will increase the cost of your spells. This will also be very detailed when you hover over them. But basically, cooldown multiplier will slightly increase the cost and make all of your abilities now cost gas. And your other multipliers will usually not, or they will not increase the gas cost, but they will significantly increase the mineral cost. If we, for instance, compare Iceball right now, 400 minerals, if I put a few secondary effect multipliers and now a few effect multipliers on it, it now costs 3,600, which for Iceball isn't a lot, but if we look at Meteor now, this costs 38,000, whereas if I didn't have any multipliers on it, it costs 1,500. So it increases the strength of pretty much every spell you have, but it can also cause some money problems along the way. Yeah, the most important one here, I think, is the cooldown multiplier. This is a very advanced thing, but basically if you're running, or while you're running away, let's say you use Mirage and it just died, or even while you still have it up, what you can do now is increase the multipliers as you're running away to decrease the cooldown, so you have a better way of escaping. And if at any point, or like if you're about to use it, what you can even do is decrease the multipliers again before you use it, so you don't have any increased cost. So there's a very nice way of just reducing the cooldown overall. But keep in mind, it will cost you quite a bit of gas. Make sure you don't run into gas problems because of that. Okay, that was, I think, fairly detailed. I don't think we missed anything regarding spells.
Yeah, now we're on Talon's quest and maybe drop stash.
Yeah, drop stash. Oh, okay. Maybe dropped orbs first. You can use this ability if you use your global blink, or it's after 5 minutes and you lost it. There's an ability that will now substitute for the global blink, and is the dropped orb. You can activate that. As you see, it costs a little bit of, obviously, energy, minerals, and gas. And the next orb that you cast will not, change the orbs around you. However, it will drop an orb at your location. And depending on what orb you cast or what orb you drop, this will have a different effect. Like the Storm Orb is the one that's easiest to show. Right, I dropped the Storm Orb here, and if I run away from it, you will see I have a lot of vision still on it. An Ice Orb, for an Ice Orb I'll get some units. If units kill the Ice Orb, then all close by units get slowed for a little bit. And as far as the Fire Orb goes, it just deals some AoE damage. So as you see, the Lingua attacked it, and a few Lings died. This has the Fire Orb has a very good combination with Iceball, by the way. If some Zerglings happen to follow you, right? Let's say they attack me, and I drop an orb here, like a Fire Orb, and then use my Iceball right afterwards. Since the Fire Orb has a higher priority than my Iceball, the Zerglings will re-aggro onto the Fire Orb, kill it, and usually die. Yeah, the damage that they deal, or the range that they give, or the slow, all changes with the points you have in your orbs. Okay, I think before we go over quests and money and the stashed orbs, it would be good to talk about talents. Just so we have everything else wrapped up. Okay, talents. Yeah, you have several rows of talents. Maybe that first. You only get access to the next
column.
Or yeah, first you have access to the first 2 rows. You can put talents in them however you like. Once you spend 10 points, 10 talent points, you get access to the 3rd row. If you spend 5 more, then you get access to the next one. 5 more, and you get access to the next one. Fairly straightforward. These talents, again, keep in mind, Elementalist is a class that changes frequently. So these talents have changed a lot over time, and they may very well change again in the future. So not all of the talents you see now may appear in the current Elementalist version. The first, very straightforward, Revelation. If you kill an enemy unit, you will get a short, like it reveals the area around the unit for a short moment. The more points you put into it, the more vision it gives. Can be useful in some situations. Depending on how changes go, this might change the Elementalist playstyle in the future. Currently, however, I don't really see this have all too much value. I'm not gonna lie. You have plenty of other stuff to get value from. I've seen other people use it, but this is not really my cup of tea. Last 8, a very useful talent. If you have income, or okay, one of the things we can touch upon now maybe, Elementalist has a little bit different income. And one of the ways in which he's fairly special is if he loses HP. Not shields, but HP. So if he's not at his max HP, then he will not generate any income. And this talent is supposed to make up for it. If you have a lot of farm, like if you would have a lot of income, only through farming stacks, by the way, not through stash minerals, and you're not full HP, but you have a lot of stacks, then those stacks will actually heal your HP instead. So let's say you're very low HP. You know what? I'll just get a few points. You know, let's say these zerglings come at me, attack me. I'm starting to get low, and I'll put some points into this. Yeah, this will. Wait, actually, I think the version is bugged. Where is it? Yeah, I think slightly. Okay. Okay, income doesn't work in Sandbox, but you know, if this were to happen and you would have some income stacks, then you know you would get some faster HP regeneration right now. A very useful talent. Usually you want to go for it because otherwise you have to rely very heavily on your teammates to make medevacs, medics, or whatever to heal your HP up, and that can become very annoying. Untouched, very useful talent. Whenever you've been out of a fight or not been attacked for several seconds, 10 right here, it increases your movement speed. So right now, this is my movement speed without any points. This is my movement speed if I have 5 points into it. This does mean if I get attacked even once, my movement speed will... Okay, Sandbox bugged again. This is not a realistic display of what will happen in a game, but if you were to get damaged, then your movement speed would slow down significantly. This, for all the Zerg hunters out there, combines very well with Brack, because I believe his Corrosive Cloud deals like 1 damage. So if it hits an Elementalist, not only will his mana get reduced, but also, or his energy, but you will also suddenly move a lot slower if he has some untouched points. But in general, very useful talent. That's the one you max out first. Fire Orb Mastery. As mentioned, you always have 3 orbs around you, but what happens if you have 3 orbs around you and like 3 fire orbs, for instance, and you cast another fire orb? In this case, nothing. But these orb masteries change that. If I put a point to fire orb mastery, for instance, now every fire orb I cast costs some extra resources, but my next auto attack becomes a lot stronger. What can I use it on? Here, Kevin has to suffer for a moment. Okay, actually that didn't work too well. Let me try again. On the other. Okay, yeah, as you see right here, she turns red because what it does is it burns the enemy and deals some damage over time. The other masteries, like Storm Orb Mastery, what it does is that your auto attacks will spread out a little bit. As you see here, I have 2 auto attacks. The effects change depending on how many Storm Orb levels you have and how many points you have in Storm Orb Mastery. Basically, it will increase the amount of attacks that come out and the range that they have. Yeah, the slow, or like if I have 3 Ice Orbs, it will just decrease the movement speed of whatever unit it attacks. Okay, it doesn't work right now, but again, this will work in the normal game. Okay. The next row, Visionary. All of the spells you use now give vision around it. Let me use that here on Fire Orb, for instance, or Fireball, for instance. You will see, I just said high ground vision. Yeah, applies for pretty much any spell. I think Soul Catching Zone. I think if I move it, it probably also gives me a little more vision around here, but right now the radius is not enough. The more points you put into it, the more vision you get. It's fairly straightforward. Illusionist. This goes back to Mirage, the ability we talked about, and the second ability. If you cast the ability, you will get a blink. And this functions like a normal blink. As you see, visionary here, by the way. It also gives high ground vision. Combines very well with illusionist in the way I can use my blink here, blink to the high ground, and then swap location. So getting 1 point, at least 1 point, into this talent to unlock the blink ability is absolutely crucial as an Elementalist. I still see people not using that, and it absolutely blows my mind. I cannot understand why they don't do it. It's by far the best way to escape as Elementalist, and if you don't do it, then you really should. You really should try to get used to it. Oh, and the neat side effect is whenever you use your blink, the one that we talked about, the blink ability, Storm, and Fire, it makes you invisible for a short amount of time. The amount of time increases with that you're cloaked increases with the points you have into this talent. Again, for further details, just read the tooltip. Yeah, versatility. If you put points into this, as we discussed earlier, the multipliers exist and they cost gas each time you upgrade them. For each point you have into the versatility talent, the gas price for upgrading or for changing your multipliers decreases. So right now it's only 7, at the start it was 10. If I put 5 points into it, it would only be 5. So this can help to reduce the gas problems you might encounter otherwise. Burn them all. All those 3s are abilities that interact with the spells that you're using. One for your fire spell, one for your storm spell, storm spell, and one for your ice spell. Basically, if the majority of orbs that you're using for a spell dictates what kind of ability it is. If I have 3 fire orbs around me, there's a fire spell, fireball, and what this talent does is whenever I use one, there's a little wall of fire following me, and I have AoE damage to any units for some amount of time. Can be a very useful ability. Wait, I'll show it right now. I'll put some more points into this. So now even if I miss my ability, I can just walk into them, and you see I got some free kills right there. Combines very well with spells like Meteor and whatever. But yeah, also mainly Fireball. As far as the ice spells go, Eye of the Storm. Okay, I have to make sure I actually still have points available at the end of this. Whenever you cast a mainly Storm spell, your movement speed increases rapidly. So, let's say I have Lightning Storm right now, I use it. As you see, my movement speed increased by quite a bit for a short amount of time. And as far as Winter's Coming goes, mainly Ice spell, let's say. I'll not use Iceball because it's hard to show that. Let's say these slings are running next to me. I have some points into this, and I'm now casting Ice spell. Anything around me starts moving slower. Yeah, that's that. Can be useful against hunters if you combine this with the Ice Orb Mastery. You can annoy the hunter quite a bit. I remember Socks used to have a build that was focused around that. I'm not sure if it's viable right now, but maybe in the future. Some interactions to keep in mind. Okay, the last 2. Master of the Elements and Elemental Overload. Elemental Overload, as the tooltip says, if you cast 3 spells within a short time frame, then your next spells, or all the spells that you currently have, or whatever, deal more damage. So if I were to cast, let's say, what can I cast? Yeah, these 3. Oh wait, I messed it up. Yeah, you can never learn out an Elementalist. Let me put some points into this. Let's say I used Sleep, this spell. Oh, and I don't have enough energy. Okay, whatever. Doesn't matter. You get the idea. The more points you put into this, the more time you have to actually cast your spells. The longer the interval remains, because when you cast it, the time that says right now, the interval, this is for how long your ability damage will be increased. Okay, and last but not least, Master of the Elements. As we talked about earlier, you have these Fire Orb Masteries and whatever. Or, for other spells, the Masteries. This interacts with this. It will increase your overall attack range if you have such an auto attack. And yeah, it increases the amount of stacks you can have. Because you can't, if you have Fire Orb Mastery, for instance, this stacks up to 10 times, so I can cast it 10 times. And my next auto attack will deal even more damage. The more points I have into it. That's compared to, what has similar HP? 2000 lurkers then. Okay, I did the exact same thing, but now since I had more stacks on it, it pretty much died immediately. Yeah. Oh, maybe one thing I didn't mention before is these masteries, they interact with each other. So let's say I have 2 Storm Orb Masteries and 1 Fire Orb Mastery. Okay, wait. Storm, Fire. I can cast these spells in a way that, my next orb always stacks up my next attack. So right now, if I cast Storm, and then Fire in the same sequence, I will keep stacking up stacks. My next auto attack will both spread out because of my Storm Orb Mastery and burn because of my Fire Orb Mastery. Yeah, that's one way to use it. Okay, God, I think after what seems like forever, we finally have everything besides the quests.
And income, yeah.
Yes, quests and income. Income in this mode is a little bit bugged, but it works in the final game. I think I just mentioned them briefly, and I can discuss it a little bit more when I get into the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said like farm versus shield income and the dropping the stuff.
Okay, yeah. You have 2 ways of income. Well, obviously you have your normal passive income, but then you also have shield income, which is income you get based on just how many shields you have right now. This is not percentage based, but legit just on the overall amount of shields you have right now. So the more strength you have, right, since it increases your overall shields, the more money you will get. There used to be a build, I think that's also in the guides right now, where it would be a valid strategy to just mass out that, and then get a lot of income from just pure shields. It's not very viable right now, though. Again, that can change in the future. And then the other main way to make money is through farm income. Basically, when you kill units, again, this doesn't show here, so it's a little bit of a showcase, but you will notice this as soon as you get into a game. There will appear a timer right under your energy bar, right under your HP and everything. They will begin to, decrease very rapidly. And there will also be a number. And those numbers will basically be indicators of how much income you get. There are certain talents. Basically, if you kill an enemy, you get, I think, 2 minerals is what you start with. 2 minerals and 2 stacks are the maximum. So if I kill a unit, now my timer will begin, and for a short amount of time I will have 1 stack. And since 1 stack is worth 2 minerals, every time I get my farm income, which is every 8 seconds usually, every 8 seconds I will get 2 minerals. And if I kill 2 units, right now there would be a number 2, so I have 2 stacks, each worth 2 minerals, so in total I would get 4 minerals every 8 seconds. If I keep them up. If the timer runs out, I'm back to 0 and have to kill 2 units again to be back to those 2 stacks. Just that. Now there are talents to quests that will change this interaction, right? The gotta catch them all, or catch them all actually, increases not only the amount of maximum stacks you can have, right? So at the start you no longer have just 2 stacks, but you can have 4 or whatever, and it increases them by 2, but also increases the amount of minerals you get per active stack. So let's say I put 1 point into this. This will increase my stacks and the minerals per stack by 2. So I can now kill 1 zergling. This will, instead of giving me 2 minerals, will give me 4 minerals. I'll kill another one. Now I have 2 stacks. I I will now get 8 minerals, as instead before I only got 2. But it doesn't stop here, because I also got more stacks, more maximum stacks. I can kill 2 more zerglings. Now have a 4 under the name. So I have 4 stacks, each worth 4 minerals, which means I now get 60 minerals every 8 seconds. So the idea is basically to have your stacks up the entire time, have as many of them as possible, so you get the maximum income. And to try to make sure that your timer, that again will appear right here, doesn't run out. There are talents like Zergfest, which just increase, this one just increases the gas. Again, you can just read the tooltips, they're very self-explanatory. If you kill units here, you get extra gas. Does that work? No. Okay, usually a Zergling would give 1 gas, and if I killed it, then it would give me 1.4 gas. And the more points I have into this, the more gas that will give. Staying healthy, staying healthy and unscratched, those are 2 of the shield quests mentioned, like for your shield income. If you put points into them, it will increase the amount of income you get for your shields and also decrease the amount of time for the ticks. Right, if I put some points into this. Yeah. Basically, all of these things, or most of these things, are just for your income. One talent that is very important for you is studying hard. This is on S right now, the DNA. Because it not only, or this one doesn't increase your mineral income, but based on your mineral income, or in general, you will get more XP. This will work both in the way that if you kill a unit, you just get straight up more XP from it, but also, and mainly, that whenever you get your mineral income from your farming stacks, or your shield income, that you also get some XP based on the amount of minerals that you got. As you saw right here, by the way, I had my two shield quests. I put points into them, and once I finish my quests, because they all have a requirement, they all make some part of Elementalist better, like in terms of income or whatever, or XP. And if you finish them, you usually get something as a reward. So for most of these, this is that when I finish my quest, as you see right here, progress 500, the reward is that I get 2 new quest points that I can then spend on any quest I want. Okay, the important ones, for shield income, there are only 2. And for the farm income, there is catch them all, as aforementioned. Studying hard is key. This isn't very important for your income per se, but if you have a lot of income, then you get a lot more XP. This is usually the one you want to max out first. Want to be rich? This one I have on F right now, and never enough. This one on G. Both of them increase this one increases the minerals you get per farming. Per stack, and the other one, like never enough, increases the amount of maximum stacks you can have. And as far as the income goes, you also have extra salary. This just decreases the amount of time it takes for your ticks, like for your income to come. So instead of the usual, you need 8 seconds, and every 8 seconds you get your income. For each point you put into this, it reduces it by 1 second. And this can go down to a minimum of 3 seconds. So every 3 seconds, you will get the minerals you will get based on your farming income. And then another one that is also fairly good, paid time off, increases the time you have for your income stacks. Again, the timer that I mentioned before, that again you will notice in your game, to run out. So if you feel like you have a lot of trouble keeping your timer or your stacks up, and you keep having to restart, and start from scratch, then you put points into pay time off. Because this will increase the time you have to kill the next unit. Okay, then the few special ones are Creep Harass. Usually if you kill Creep Charmer, just like any other class, you get a little bit of XP and that's it. But if you put a point into this, then you actually get gas for killing one. It doesn't work, it's sandbox, doesn't matter. This would have given me 1 gas. And if I kill 10 creep tumors, then each time I kill a creep tumor, it also activates my farming stacks. So instead of killing a unit, I could also then, if I already killed 10 creep tumors, kill a creep tumor to keep my farming stacks up. Very useful in games where you're allowed to harass a lot. A little gimmick that I actually didn't even know myself for a while. If you put more points into this, obviously it increases the amount of gas you get, but it also increases the amount of farm income stacks you get per creep tumor kill. Right? So let's say I was reset and I'm back to 0. If I have 3 points into my quest and I now kill one, instead of only having 1, as I would have if I just killed normal zergling, I now have 3. Get another one, now I have 6 stacks. And so on and so on. The more points you put into it. I wouldn't put too much into them though, because it's nice, nice gimmick. Can help you in certain points, but it's fairly situational. Showtime. If you are on creep, the more you're on creep, the more XP, income, and whatever you get. Objective is that you level up while you're on creep. This can be, you can be level, I don't know. You can be a certain level and realize that you get your income and therefore your XP in a moment. Run on creep, level up, and run away. Works, I don't know. I don't put too many points into it though, because you have to play very aggressively. And usually for, especially, I don't know, hunters like Levick or whatever, who can just TP to you, or Zagara or whatever, every time you're on creep, you can feed them gas, and you don't want to do that. Okay, 3 more. Return of investment. Whenever I use spells and I kill units with it, I now also get income. It doesn't work in Sandbox. Quite a shame, but that's how it is. Demolisher, if I put points into this and I kill buildings, right? Because usually when you kill a building, you get 5 gas and that's it. Now if I kill a building, I will get extra minerals. Doesn't work again because Sandbox, but you can read here what it does. 20% of the maximum HP. This can be a lot. If you have 5 points into this, and let's say you meteor a bunch of hatcheries, then you will get 1,000 minerals per hatchery, which is quite a lot. Okay, and then last but not least, magical interest. What I talked about before, you have these dropped orbs, but if you have a dropped orb, you will see that it doesn't run out here. You can stash minerals. What this does is whenever I activate a stash mineral, the mineral amount increases, right? Because right now it's 20,000. I'll do it one more. And now the next orb I use, or the next orb I drop, has a little timer on it. This orb is invisible, no matter which orb I would have dropped here. And once the timer runs out, I get all of the money I invested into this orb back, and some extra.
Do you have to pick it up?
This is here, 220%. No, you just drop it once, right? Like right here, I have a stash mineral. I drop it once, boom, and I leave it there. And this takes 5 minutes. And after 5 minutes, if it wasn't killed, because the Zerg can find it and kill it, even though it's invisible, obviously, if they just scan the area or if an overseer flies by, a random Zergling can hit it, and that's gone. Alright, we can test that out once.
How much HP does it have?
1. Literally anything will kill it.
So random overseers can do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you saw right here, it attacked it, and I lost 72,000 minerals. Basically, the more minerals you put into it, right, it gives you, the base is 220% is what you get back of what you put in. But with this talent, Magical Interest, you get a lot more back. So right now, if I would do one, actually a little too late. Or never mind. How much did I just put in? A little over 20k. Okay, if I now drop one, let's test this out. Before it cost me 72,000, I think. Now 90,000. Right, so this is a very useful talent. In general, stashing orbs is a very good way to get a lot of money as Elementalist. You should definitely make use of it, because in the early and mid game, all you need is your farm income stacks. But later on, if you want to cast bigger spells and you want to cast them continuously, right? If you want to have a lot of multipliers, so let's say a Meteor, costs a lot more, 30,000 right now, your farm income can't support that. You will have to stash mirrors inevitably. And the good thing is, they pretty much have no end, right? This goes up to 60,000. This, keeps going to 180,000 to, I don't know, I usually don't do a lot more than that. 500,000 and more and more and more. And again, if they aren't attacked, you get a lot of money out of this. Okay. I think we covered everything.
Yeah, the only thing
Some things I've heard about
add is a lot of the rewards for these quests are like you put 1 point in it and you can get 2 points out of it and maybe like some shields and
Oh yeah, right. The
like
basic stuff. The idea is since they are quests, there's an objective you have to fulfill, right? So you put 1 point into one, and if you fulfill the objective, you get the reward, which, for this talent would be to get 200 quest points. So ideally, you get all the quests you can as soon as possible, because usually the goal is kill X amount of zerglings, or gain X amount of income. So the earlier you get it, the faster you can fulfill them, and since most of them give you the reward of more quest points, it's, it pays for itself, exactly. So you want to pretty much level each quest as soon as you can. There are some that are prioritized depending on your build. The ones you, however, don't want to level up immediately are Tree Press. By the time you get it available, usually you do not, get anything big out of it. Plus, this is one of the few talents that doesn't give you any quest points as a reward. So it's one you generally want to have only later, because it would be a wasted point at this early into the game. Showtime, again, fairly situational, something you don't level up every game. So, and it's also very hard, or usually comparably fairly hard to fulfill. So I also wouldn't immediately level this one up. Same with Demolisher. You have to kill 10 buildings. Nothing you just do right away as soon as you have it available. So the ones... Oh, and also Return of Investment. You only get 1 quest point back. And, you have to kill 100 units with spells. Which, realistically, if you're just farming the entire game, doesn't really happen. As soon as you get into a base, or, you see big armies clashing, then sure, go ahead, put points into it, and you will get your value back very quickly. But in a normal game, you won't have the opportunity to just kill 100 units, or it will take a long amount of time. So I wouldn't bother with it until you're gonna kill some big amounts of units. Yeah. Also, same kind of with magical interest. This does have an objective that you have, received your payoff from stash mirrors 10 times. But this takes a long time, so I honestly never use it for the objective and the reward. I only level this up if I know I have a lot of my stashed orbs put down, and I will get a lot of money if I level it up. Because you can put a stashed orb down, like right now I could put a 250 orb down, and later on level up my magical interest before it runs out, and this will increase the amount of money I get. So basically, I could put a lot of stashed orbs down, wait 4 minutes, and then upgrade my magical interest, and I would get a lot of value from them. Boom. 200, I don't know how much. Probably from one of those I dropped. Okay.
I think we covered everything.
I also think we covered... Okay, one of the things I noticed earlier that I really should have mentioned at the start of the video. If you lose HP or shields as Elementalist, it's not like with every other character, because you actually feed gas, like you see right here, the Zerglings are attacking me. Just the Zerglings attacking me feeds gas and experience to the enemy Zerg.
Yeah.
And this honestly goes quite quickly. So if at the start of the game you just lose your shields, it usually means that Zerg now has a free hatchery. So make sure you try to kill, as we mentioned earlier, you kill one Zergling, go away a little bit, get 3 fire orbs, make sure nothing attacks you, and then you go back to farming. Because if the Zerglings, pile up and brawl against you, you're gonna be in a world of trouble. And you're gonna be feeling a lot. And your team will be flaming you, rightfully so, to be honest. This also happens to me. You can't prevent it in all games, but in most games, play smart.
I was wondering when you were going to Meteor the eco.
Right now. And to top it off, because it's the end of the video, I'm gonna kill Glavik with like 2 more meteors.
Okay.
Boom. Boom. You see this deals a lot of damage. This almost only works against Glavik though, because he can't move.
Yeah.
Any other class like Zagara, I use this meteor, they see it coming. Right? She just walks here. Boom. Wasted 88,000 minerals right there. Okay, yeah, I think that was it. Again, if you have any questions, most of it is answered in the tooltips. Read them. Fairline plays it all the times, and honestly, he's right.